versus Dust. I'm going to start with you, M-Test.
He
What
can't
is
contain
the
himself.
importance of this game for you?
I mean, I just want to see the Voxne, not on Soraka. As the last time I casted him, I had like kind of a not a segment, but I had like a 30-second talk about the Voxne. I was gonna say that he was gonna pop off completely in my last cast. I was here 2 weeks ago, and he picked Soraka. It worked. He popped off. It was, but it was not the montage play that I just looked at Voxne to do. It's not the vain one. Yes, exactly. That's the just the good things I want to see from the Voxne. And just speaking about Dusty really quick as well. This is a team that I just really love to see playing. I think every single member in their team can carry. Caribous has so many niche picks. Same for them Voxne. This guy's champion pool is just so wide. Backline has been really solid. And I mean, this team lineup rather, just looks super solid to me. Everyone can carry.
So it seems you're really strong on Dusty today.
I predicted Dusty.
You know what looks super solid though? Riddle looks super solid. Because if I had to use power rankings right now, I would definitely put JDXL on the top. But Riddle, I feel like, is a very close second. Because when they played JDXL, the lineup had just gotten together, right? They had to play with their subs for the first week. And then when they all finally got together, on their first game, they get JDXL. So it's not the easiest opener, right? For Vladdy joining and Kevo joining. I made the mistake as well because Kevo was playing for Vanir. He's not playing for Vanir. That was my bad. He's playing for Riddle. He also changed the jerseys in last interview as well. He put the Vanir one off. But yeah, I feel like this is a very solid lineup because Kevo and Nas are some of the strongest weak side bot lanes that we do have. Kevo, very notorious on his Ezreal, can stay under a tower all on his lonesome. Nas was second on the most assists right under FTG, 3 assists less than FTG, who's right at the top. So this guy is all over the map. And I feel like the solo laners, Vladdy and Jaxplank, the Greek duo, complement Stefan's aggressive play so well.
Yeah, I mean, I just think these teams are kind of similar in the way they play. Every single player can kind of carry. And I think today, I mean, we're mentioning so much how mid-jungle is important, right? But in this one, it's just going to be off the rooftop, like how important it is. Yeah, I'm just super excited, man.
Never seen it before like this.
It's just crazy. I mean, I have the jitters. Like, I'm actually super excited to just watch this game.
Can we talk about the top laners, though? This could be a clash for the ages between these two guys. What are you guys expecting?
I mean, okay, it's Kerberos. He's got everything under the sun underneath the sleeve. He's got the AD Cho'Gath if he wants to pull out. He's got Trindamis, Fioras, the Kayle that he came up with, the Darius. I feel like it's really dangerous if you let Dusty go on to red side because they'll make sure that Kerberos has all the tools and the champion that he wants to snowball the game, right? But on the other hand, for Riddle, I feel like Jaxplank is such a solid weak side top laner if he wants to be on weak side, and especially the fact that you have to take 2 bans against him, both the Jax and the Gangplank, just kind of like cripples you in picks and bans, right? Because you're gonna have to throw them your way. Talking about picks and bans, boom,
there you go, jump
right
in.
on your screens right now.
I think this really good point that you mentioned as well, Trouble, is that Dusty has the red side this time around. It's just super OP for the solo lanes, right? They can just save that pick for last for Kerberos. And this guy obviously has so many niche picks that he can pull out. And while Jaxplank, it has been doing really well on the weak side as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson they just decide to pick maybe Gnar on free, just be really safe. And then I just really hope I don't get to see the same boring answer that is GP third pick for Dusty, because I swear every time we've seen this matchup today, Gnar has just been stomping the Gangplank, and I want to see Kerberos pull out something more spicy.
I'm so happy every time I see Graves banned. I know that he's not being picked too much right now, but if there's like the slight
Link
chance
of seeing
Graves will be picked in the jungle, I'm like, yeah, get out.
But if we do get the GP, it could be on the Jaxplank, and that's sort of a
I feel
different.
like it's a very easy blind pick, right? But then again, you have so many niche picks.
The Darius,
Kerberos. The Darius, he can pull out the Kayle yet again and scale into the lane, right? So there's just so many tools that you can use. Again, right here, Talia is coming to mind that has not been banned yet. The Wukong that a lot of teams seem to not prioritize necessarily to ban, but they do prioritize to pick.
Yeah, and we just have to see, right? Is this gonna get? It's actually first game, and it's not gonna be banned out, right?
There is
I think there is still up, as you mentioned. There are obviously the Ezreal still, the Gangplank, as you mentioned. But I mean, just a kind of a good call. Obviously, Sarah's gonna come through. Now, do you just answer this with Ezreal I hope we don't get to see Viego again. But I'm just curious, do you just answer with a Volibear now, or?
I would just
Talia
love to
is
see
open as
Volibear.
well,
I
by
would
the
just
way.
love to see Volibear and completely stop that Zeri from going into late game. We saw teams today coming back purely because they have that Zeri into the late game and having the potential to tower dive that. Diana Yasuo here would make so much sense as well if Buckland wants to play the Yasuo right here. Notorious LeBlanc player as well, so obviously doesn't synergize very well with the Diana, but I love this because all you need to have is one button onto the carry and then Yasuo can just follow through.
Yeah, and this just like kind of goes fit so well with Linka's champion pool as well. I think this guy is not really known for playing this like type of Volibear, like the kind of the tank junglers. This guy wants to have as much farm as possible. Speaking of farm though, it's gonna be like a farm lane on bot. The Twitch is locked in for the Vox. This is what I like to see. No Soraka. Let's go, man.
He's so excited for the first time today, by the
Until
way.
he
We
sees
have
it's AP or
Talia.
something, you know?
Talia is available, and this could be it again. We've talked about this before, but it's Stefan. It's kind of an aggressive jungler. Maybe he can pull it off some way, but both teams
I
have
think
ability.
it's because it's Stefan that I don't want to see the Viego right here,
Oh.
guys. I'm like, this guy is the moving gear in the early game for Riddle. He's the guy that creates opportunities with Vladdy in the mid lane, but right now they've gone for a complete snooze fest in the early game, peeking towards the scaling lanes. I feel the fact that Jaxmonger here takes his Jax, I think that was a no-brainer. I was just expecting a little bit more of an active, mid-jungle duo. Potentially see Vladdy on something like his Ahri, but it does suffer a little bit into Yasuo.
Yeah, and I mean, this just it's kind of smart from Riddle, I think, to pick the GP. Obviously, I was mentioning the Darius looking coming in, right? But if you look in the Darius, obviously the Yasuo is going to be taken out, so that's the kind of force to get that combo. I kind of like this answer though from Riddle. I mean, sure, it's kind of a snooze fest. They have Sarah and Gangplank, both are scaling. They really need some CC now on the supportive role and also for the mid into Vladdy. Ahri is getting taken off, which is, I mean, one of the better picks, right? Just being a blindable pick, but into the Yasuo as well, going to be kind of safe there. But it's really kind of up to Riddle now to actually get some engage going. You don't want to just kite all your way. Could work against the types of Yasuo and Diana, but you have the Twitch as well. There is so many tools from Dusty.
And I just feel like already having the Diana Yasuo Twitch, it sort of cripples you on the fact that you either have to gonna go full tank on the top side of the map, and Kerberos is not really known
Yeah,
to want
not gonna
to play
happen.
these tanks, right? Or you cripple yourself in having way too much AD and a Diana, which is more of like a burst AP assassin in these team fights, right? So this could potentially allow Riddle to scale into the later stages of the game. But to me, it feels like so far everyone is so squishy on the side of Riddle, even the Viego. So whoever Linkas finds with this R button and takes the Yasuo straight in, it could be a 100% to 0 real quickly. Now, Kale is up and available, and this could be one of these champions that you can build whatever you want on. You can go AD, you can go AP, you can go hybrid. Kerberos has played the Kale. He can even pick it here if he wants to because he knows what he's getting into. And I think it's a really good combo with the Diana Yasuo. You pop the ultimate, they go in.
I think they want to reveal what is going to be picked on the other side for Riddle before they commit to the top side, because if it's a Jax, if it's a GP, you can bring in the Darius. It has worked before. Pop in the Ghost. There's no pilot in front of you if you move forward. Also, I'm going to be really disappointed if I don't see a Talia.
Talia.
Oh, Talia is
She
actually
was
been
banned
open,
through
yeah.
the entire day. I see a Yasuo in the mid lane. Let's see Yasuo dash in the middle of the
I don't mind the Talia because she can cover the entire wave with her rocks, and then Yasuo cannot dash forward
Or
into
Diana
them
as well.
because he gets dashed. That's one. Two, she's very susceptible to getting ganked. So the Diana Yasuo combo is going to be extremely lethal on her after level 6.
It is Rel so far. We're still waiting on the last pick coming in from Riddle, and it seems like it's going to be a Veigar.
This is really just... I don't really understand this. I mean, Vladdy... Sure, they're playing against a lot of melee champions with the Diana, Yasuo, and Nautilus, but Vladdy's going to be such a sitting duck in this early lane, and Stefan is not going to be able to help him out. Once again, they kind of did what happened in the last game with Vanir. They have triple scaling.
It
gonna
makes,
Viego?
it
There
makes
you go.
so much sense here. Like, you've got double AD, you've got AP on the Diana, you can just go whatever build you want with Kerberos, not just because you can choose what you want to go for, but because no one is tanky on the side of Riddle. You're going to have, what, Rel being the tankiest member, and you don't really care. You've got two champions diving in. What I really like from the side of Dusty is that they've given another tool to Yasuo to dive in, right?
Yeah.
Not to lose. Point click on whoever one you want. They lock him down. Diana jumps straight in.
Kale will be coming
Kale
as well.
all down to the Yasuo. It's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, I went for Riddle, but I feel like
You want to change it up?
Give me that prediction before we jump into
I
game.
think
The last
he
one.
has a really freaking good composition so far, and I'm not sure what the Vega is supposed to do here either. I think the
going
Varel is
for
a little
Dusty.
bit out of position as well. Yeah, I'll go for Dusty.
I think
Dusty, give it.
in isolation, like in isolation, Vega is just really bad in this one. Maybe it could work against so many melee champions, but obviously you know where my heart lies in this one. I mean, your Dust is gonna take it home.
Okay, so agreement in the test. Let's see if our casters agree with that one as we jump into the last game of day 7 of Summer Split. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much. Happy to have us. I'm happy to be here. Still.
I still am too, yeah.
Are you still
just
sure
not getting
about it?
that.
Do you ever think about it?
I think I'll stick around for one more game. I
Yeah,
hear we
all
got
right, fine,
one
one more.
So quickly following on from what the Corsa analyst said on the desk.
Yes.
That Veigar is going to be a huge sticking point this game. I completely understand what could happen with this Veigar. If you blow flash in this lane, lights are out. If
Gets
this
rough.
is one time where bot lane gets an advantage, Nautilus comes up, trades flash to flash, Veigar can't play the game. If Diana gets a good angle, Veigar can't play the game. If you get to the mid-game team fight, that cage is absurdly valuable though. Kale doesn't want to play around that cage. Twitch doesn't want to play around that cage. If you are not on the front line and that Yasuo Diana ends up engaging into the cage, into that cage rather, that Veigar gets huge value.
Absolutely, but we do need to head on to the Rift, so we'll see how it all plays out. Let's get into our final game of the day, and what a beautiful diorama we've got here. Production smurfing, as always, here in the NLC.
So, onto that Rift. And now, let's see, of course, how these lanes are going to play out. Talked about how the Veigar can be such almost a lose condition. I think that if this mid jungle gets rolling because Veigar can't stay in lane, that's going to be a huge sticking point. But that can happen in so many different ways. But if Veigar survives through to that mid game, do you think it has very large value? Both these teams sat at 4-2. Probably the closest clash we've had today. In fact, it's very much mathematically the closest clash that we have on today's roster. We start off the game with an absolute banger. It was that Bifrost back and forth with M&M of all teams, the 1-5 team. And that was such a crazy close affair. This is one which I hope can match up to that one to end us out on a high note.
We had a lot of teams tied for second earlier on in the day. Of course, Bifrost and Astralis are now there. But Dusty and Riddle, only one of these two will be able to make it. Now we've got to see which one of these two will be able to make it happen. Kale for the first time today.
Yeah, it's actually one of the few that I've actually ended up casting at this point too, but I look at Kale as a champion where if you end up getting access to the minion wave, that Kale can do a lot of nasty things in the laning phase. Of course, you do have an attack speed, movement speed based buff. If you end up stacking that up, that ends up meaning that you can trade very, very heavily, even pre-6. We know that actually the Shy, really good player to watch in this. He loves playing this into Gangplank. He loves saying that. And I wonder now what Kerberos can do, of course, as one of our 1v1 specialists.
Absolutely. He has been a bit of an interesting one to follow. I remember, of course, the Darius first time out of the split. Absolutely smashed on that, and he's in a position here to really hard carry as the game goes on, because Jack's Plank on the other side, on one of those signature plicks, he's back on. The Gangplank has been pretty stellar, all things said, especially considering he's been asked to fill in mid lane earlier on the split when there was some more issues with the way the roster was working back then, and now, actually with the roster as intended, doing very well here for the side of Riddle. And Riddle in general have been surprisingly impressive. We didn't necessarily know what to think about a lot of this team, considering there were huge shifts for the team. And Stefan, another one of those names who, in the pre-show, we were just praising how incredible this guy has been so far, coming from a split off where he was on the coaching staff of X7 to leading in pretty much every stat you care to mention for junglers, particularly around some of those individual numbers like the damage percentage and the farm.
So, speaking of Stefan, of course, very good individual play. Actually coming into the split, then Voxley and Stend, people on the stream, were players which I had very close eyes on. I have expectations from them. Then Voxley returning back to NLC after a split away has always been one of the NLC's great give me farm and I will carry archetype bot lane players, alongside Stend, the player who I'd heard great things about from other people in the scene. So for me, look to see what that bot lane can do. Again, if you start winning that bot lane, I think it does influence the map, the rest of the map so very, very well. That Nautilus can do so much damage if they get into any of those solo lanes. Wait to see if Stend can turn up there. Linkus is actually turning up towards topside, but is on vision. So we'll just be settling for a scuttle crab instead.
Yeah, doesn't seem to care too much about an attempted gank. Instead, looking towards a scuttle crab. Has gone for the full clear. Linkus, Stefan on the other side, a little bit slower, but is onto those Krugs, having taken the bot side scuttle crab. And should be a relatively similar path timing right now. Throws that ward down onto the Gromp for second spawn, a pretty common thing after a full clear. And we're kind of left with a relatively quiet first few minutes.
Well, I don't think either of these junglers really want to hard force on ganks. You're looking for sitting plays, because I think with both of these champions, I actually think their archetypes are more about counter-ganking. Of course, you do have the flash spectral more from Viego if things get particularly open. But
into the cage. That might mean Stefan has an angle to get in here. Backland now in a dangerous position, sliding through, going to try and outplay this one best they can. And the Spectral Maw hits the cannon.
Uses one of his
Smoothly
6
played.
free flashes on the mid wave. Yeah, cool. Uses them to go around the place.
Sweeping blade. He's just being a considerate mid lane play, sweeping up after himself.
Well, Backland gets out of that one safely, of course. Playing around that cage is Vega. Not normally the nicest thing to do, of course. You can blink through the cage if you get a knock-up on the other side. You get to ult past it. But Stefan, have that look in mid, can go top. And look at this. It's a bit of the sit and play.
This is kill problems early. Does not have a lot of ways to play this one out, but won't even look for the barrel chain there, actually. Just gets away from that, doesn't burn the flash, and just gets to walk away.
Well, there was a ward in lane. Observer's obviously spotting that, but Stefan went around the other way, went through the tri-brush. I'm actually not sure if he was spotted on that one. I don't think that ward was in a position to spot all of that wall around that top side. But either way, Kerberos, even though they get aggressed on there, manages to reset that wave, manages to get to that point where they can shove it in, gets to teleport back in the wave, isn't just in an awful spot. So with this, able to just queue that back if he wants to, and have the wave in an okay spot. If that had led into a kill, do you think, yeah, not so great, but Kerberos gets away with their lane management.
And all the while, Linkus did manage to steal away those Raptors from the bargain bucket, as we've been calling it today, and gets to head back to his own red side jungle, having stolen away a couple of those ganks, and that's kind of the opportunity cost of Stefan looking for the ganks in mid and top.
Important thing to keep an eye on in the next minute, because we can see support's just recalled. Stend and Voxnate ended up recalling, going back towards that bot side. Wave is now under turret, but Nash now knows where the enemy knows where the wave is, knows where the support is under that turret. I'm wondering what these supports are going to do with effectively a free play. Nash, this is something you could do as top lane as well.
Yes.
One of the coaches that was in the NLC last split did a really good written Twitter post on this about top laners doing this. Coach called Tash, talking about when you reset, you can just diagonally go into your bot side jungle, and it gives you the option to very quickly return to your lane, but also respond to the map. See what Nash is doing here? Just responding, being in the right position. It's fundamentals, it's not always flashy, but if something had happened, if Linkus had been in a place to just turn up and contest something, Nash was there to respond, and you know, because of the wave and where it was, it's going to slow Pash back towards you. You're not losing much in this bot side. Fundamentals on show from these support resets.
The first part of that proverb is right place, then comes the right time. Make sure you get the order right. If you want it to be the right time, you've got to be kind of in the right area to
Do you have any other favorite proverbs?
Probably. I need to think of some, though.
I can think of all of the ones which turned up in the Rome Total War loading screen.
Ah, yes. Yeah. That's a reference I wasn't expecting, but I'm there with you. Is this the one where you say, like, return with your shields are on them?
Yes, stuff like that. That's a pretty important one. Of course, Artrom knows that one.
Indeed.
Being, the literal impersonation of Leonidas. He is, yeah.
He's got the same beard.
He has the same beard. He pulls it off damn well. It's really annoying.
It's
someone that can't do
impressive.
facial hair.
Never mind that. We're going to see a flash crash down. Archerom's beard will have to wait. It's then Vox. They're trying to stealth away. But I just don't think he's got anywhere to run to. He's looking to get a last minute. Can he get the cannon? No, surely not. He doesn't have any way to go. You've got to believe the burst fires will secure it. A heartbreaker. It's your first blood for Stefan.
We briefly had an aside about hair on face. Looks like actually Stend Voxley has got a bit of egg on their face from that play. 0-1. Caught out a little bit. And Nash on the rail, hard engaged champion. I was a little worried halfway through Riddle's draft thinking, how do you actually get on top of the Twitch? You've got things to worry about.
And here we go. Gonna not even burn the ultimates yet. They just go for the kills. The Ignite surely gets that one, and Backland gets that. And they still keep the moonfall and the last breath.
Okay, so mid-jungle duo alongside Kerberos getting some gold for themselves. Top side of the map, succeeding in that cross map. And yeah, going back briefly to that point, was a little worried about target access on one side, but actually on the other side, that Yasuo and the Diana always going to have threat if they manage to land that combo. I think as the game goes forward, I'm really looking on Riddle to play around safe vision and to make sure that they're not clumped up to have everyone caught in the combo. Because if you have Zeri who gets the free hit after that target access is gone, feeling significantly better about Riddle's chances. If the Veigar cage is in the right place, feeling significantly better at the chances. But I feel like it is on Riddle to outplay the engage, and I think Dusty have plenty of ways to really sweep home that victory if they find those big combos which are sitting for them.
Checking with the Doomsday Clock, Kayle has ascended the first step on the Stairway to Heaven, Divine Ascension.
No stairway.
Procced over at level 6. Well, tell that to Kayle, already at that first passive increase where those auto attacks become ranged, I believe. You start getting a little bit more powerful again at level 11, again at level 16 where Kayle becomes a god amongst mortals. Linkas with the Herald, with Moonfall, looking to flash, and Lunar Rush to find a Moonfall. Will not bother using anything like a Divine Judgment spell.
And the kill goes to the Kayle.
Yes.
That's really annoying because you're sat there like, oh heck, we just died. Gonna die again. It's 2 kills onto Jax Planks, one of their duo mains, of course. This player which we've seen do magnificent things on those champions, not able to stand up in those 1v2s, is saving that flash. I think that's the right decision. I don't think you're getting out of that either way. I think that as soon as Diana is there, you are going to get hit by an E, you are going to get hit by the ult, and effectively that's lights out after that point. So not only is that 2 kills on the top lane, it's also going to be the Herald, it's going to be a turret, it's going to be first turret as well after all is said and done. Huge amount of gold going to Kerberos. And remember, looking down at those items, that's actually going to be a crit Kayle. You're probably going to see a Kraken slide on the side, not even there to respond.
That is a Magnet Storm that will help secure another kill onto Dem Voxney. Riddle put the pressure on the opposite side of the map and succeed over there as Stefan continues to try and hunt for more. He has got both kills for Riddle thus far and continues to be our premier carry jungler. As Backland finds himself in a bit of a tricky position. Linkas is coming over and Stend is around as well. They might want to contest this, but Vladdy was around, and I think with the HP bar on that Nautilus, a little bit too low to consider contesting any further.
Okay, so shame on me for seeing a Rel on the same screen as enemy champions and not expecting there to be it again. It's like, oh, let's talk about crit Kayle. Gold's great on it. Yeah, well, there's going to be a fight coming. Great combo coming through from Nash. Funny thing about this,
yes,
I look at Dusty on the screen and I see Rel, and I just think, oh, it's FGG. Of course, FGG's now on JDXL.
Exactly, I know.
It's 7-0, but like Rel has been a big presence within the NLC for specific players. Nash, I really like what they did in that of course, that one reset phase of play, again, showing those fundamentals off. It's a small thing, but it's just nice to see. And getting in those big engages, can't wait to see what this player can do, because on one side, we talked about the target access of that mid lane. I think the Rel is huge on the other side to maybe cut down Dusty before they can find that opportunity and pull the trigger.
As it stands, Dusty pretty happily ahead in the gold lead right now, and with early gold onto this Kayle, with early plates, hell, a first tower even into this Kayle. Kerberos, a notorious carry top laner in a very happy position in this game. Yes, down a little bit of CS, but frankly, you take that as Kayle. Being down 10 CS early on,
10 CS is just about, I would almost call that winning. I would call that mission accomplished. If you're only 10 CS down and you're still getting XP, you're fine. You've got 2 kills, you've got plates. You are more than fine. You're absolutely set up, but Riddle, you see Nash talked about his impact on the game. Maybe trying to get something on Kerberos. If Barrow lands, there's a flash and an ultimate available to that Kayle. No one on the same side of the map for Kerberos. Potential for a dive, but speaking of that, cross map comes in. Of course, there's a cross map. These two teams going blow for blow. Kevo
needs to be afraid. Gonna try and lightning rush away, but that is a Moonfall and a dredge line. And they'll dredge Kevo's corpse straight into the grey screen simulator.
That is so morbid. It's a pretty line, but it's really morbid.
I mean, look, I was making Edgar Allan Poe reference earlier today. I was like, he's like the original emo. Like, what did you want from me?
Hero was
Quote me on that.
Like, I don't know. Wouldn't that be Bram Stoker? Was he before Poe?
I believe. Ooh. Not dissimilar time periods.
Does Gothic count as emo? In this essay we will discuss.
There is some significant overlap.
That was what, 1400s, 1600s?
Well, you got to remember, Gothic is not necessarily a time period.
Well, no, but it started around then.
No. So this is I will take 10 seconds and move on.
Yep.
So what you have to understand is what people realize is when things like Frankenstein was stuff were being written, that there was stuff beforehand that people then retroactively added to the Gothic genre. So there's a lot of stuff from across history that kind of gone, huh, that considered Gothic. So there's a few bits like that.
Yeah, I, for one, love the
Abbey.
I love the first album released in like 12-14 by Black Sabbath.
If you start singing War Pigs on cast, it's not, I don't think we've quite hit that level yet.
Who really knows when Ozzy was actually incarnated? That guy has been around for a long time.
Similar sort of time when the Mayans were writing their calendar, I'm sure. Is that where the Brummy accent comes from? Like, he's the originator of it. Word Sharon echoing across time and space.
We've lasted 5 games, so we've crossed into the hysteria horizon. And now we're in a position of unleash teleports. Teleport back from the mid lane from Vladdy, but let's see if any of these other champions can get themselves unlocked and unleashed onto the map. Got a dragon up in a minute. First one down to Riddle. We're not going to have ourselves a Cloud or an Ocean Rift, which means actually 3 impactful souls out of the remaining bunch in terms of this game in particular. All 3 of those would be hugely impactful. Looking for those combos. Linkouts. This is a dangerous choke point for Riddle.
Kind of caught, misses the Steel Tempest. See if there's anything more. Now the rest looking for a potential turnaround. Linkcast goes over the wall. He's onto the Viego, who's trying to burn down and dies as Backlund secures it with a flash. Steel Tempest. Nash flashes away, will not die to the expunge from Den Voxnay. But can Kevo find anything more? No is the answer.
And look, we said pretty clearly, it's on Riddle to outplay the engage. You don't outplay the engage by walking that close to them without having the correct paths in towards that mid lane. They didn't have the Veigar behind their phalanx to put down the cage to start disengaging. And while Kevo did actually get some free room to fire as that Zeri, you're not in the position where you're going to be solo carrying these fights as the Zeri just yet. Linkas understands their point of power, walks up, commits themselves to the engage, and just fires on the first target. That's exactly what you need to do. Backlund and Linkers solo at that first target, and Dusty just do what it says on the tin. It is more than easy for them. And to me, it feels like Riddle didn't put themselves in a great position to outplay that.
Checking in with the Doomsday Clock again. That calendar is moving up. Speaking of the Mayans,
so says
level 11 in for the Kayle. Divine Ascension reaching that 2nd rank means those autos, I believe, now have an... Is it AoE at level 11?
When you get up to max stacks on your passive, which is 5 autos, you get those golden waves alongside them. Also, when you press your E, that big auto attack, that has an explosion around it. So you have a lot more wave clear at this point. When you hit level 16, that's the Doomsday Clock, get the increased range, and all of your autos have those waves on them.
Don't need to stack anymore.
Starting to win in isolation at this point. Look,
Lordy
the auto
Lord.
attack resets are really, really annoying. Of course, you still have that passive all the way from level 1 in terms of giving yourself stacking move speed towards targets and some attack speed on top of that too. So if you get access to a wave like this, Jaxplug just has to sit back and hope a barrel lands.
Between the Radiant Blast and the Starfire Spellblades, with all that AoE, Kayle, a dangerous proposition. Of course, she does need the free time to fire if you can make that from happening. Has some struggles with it, but of course, this is the auto attack focus build.
Do you remember the Kayle can do it meme? Where Kayle could be played in 4 different roles.
Unfortunately, I do remember that.
And then it just became that you want someone to do it, Kayle can do it.
Kayle can do it.
Kayle can certainly do a lot of damage this game. Might have to find a way to stop taking damage though with a flash and ult.
Running away. I still remember when the likes of, I want to say Kikis was playing Kayle jungle, TF jungle.
Yep,
in the
that
day.
was one of them. Yep.
And of course, Kikis was on X7 last
Lulu
split.
jungle. Yep.
Played a number of roles across his career, but once used to play some very unusual picks for Unicorns of Love in the jungle.
Well, he was just here last split on JDXL.
Indeed.
Of course. So.
Did I say I said X7? I meant JDXL. I'm sorry. Wrong team. I apologize.
I was thinking of some extra things to add on to that, so I didn't actually quite catch it. I heard the X. I'm like, oh, it's one of those teams.
The 7 evil X. I need to make more Scott Pilgrim references around X7.
Absolutely, you do. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. You know that though.
I do.
You have the comic somewhere.
I bought you them. It was a birthday present.
Yeah.
Was it a birthday or Christmas present?
It was a birthday present. Yeah. It was a very good one.
See, I have my moments as a brother. There you go.
A few, occasionally. I'll give you that.
Okay. High praise indeed.
Sometimes you get the Scott Pilgrim really nice gift. Sometimes you have really bad Star Wars puns on cast. It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag, yeah. And everyone else has to deal with those now, which is
never one without the other.
That would be Kindred, but that also counts. Gonna see a bit of a stun onto Stend, who has been one of the standout players really in the league, who didn't know what to expect of this guy.
For not saying standout player. because that would have been...
I really should have done. I'm disappointed in myself as Kerberos gonna take away this blue buff potentially as well. It's gonna be contested for, but the smite rings true and Stefan secures that one against the attempted steal. Vladi's tower in the mid lane down to very low HP, and I think Dusty have decided that it shouldn't be standing much longer.
Well, have to see whether they can maybe find a counter engage. I'm looking at Nash. I'm looking to see what he can do. Has the flash up now? That's a big moment. Kerberos takes down the tower, but
Herb will throw down the Divine Judgment, and the Judgment says that you will get to live this time around. No additional payments required outside of a flash. So bot side backlane will secure another outer turret.
So this is why Dusty didn't choose to commit to anything. You don't have a teleport on your Yasuo. You can't commit to that play because Yasuo needs to be there, frankly, for the extra CC on the ultimate. Of course, you can't QSS out of the... Actually, I'm not sure if you can QSS out of the Yasuo anymore. You used to be able to do that.
Don't believe so.
It was a unique kind of CC. It was a suspension. Much like Nami Q. You can, I believe you can still QSS out of that one. But either way, the extra CC is really valuable onto a lot of these targets. You already talked about the turnaround of barrels, of cages, of a number of different things.
A lot of containers.
Sorry, what?
Barrels, cages. That's like a lot of containers.
It's like a Storage Wars episode. What's in the box? What's in the cage?
Deal or no deal? Do you want the barrel?
I would like to not have a barrel. That would be...
That's great.
Well, I think that's basically what Dusty is saying. How can we have no barrels? Thanks. God.
Yeah, well...
It's been a long day.
A long day. It's going to get longer still, I feel, of course. Both teams pretty happy as the game gets later, because, of course, Kale notoriously powerful as the game goes later. 15 seconds till the Dragon, though, and you've got...
I'm going to go have my point now before the fight start erupting, because we've got some wards getting put down. And again, Dusty have the terrain on their side. If you're funneling through this area right on screen right now, Riddle, don't feel too happy about things. Watch where Vladdy is. He needs to be there for the cage. Jax Blank has an ultimate. I actually wonder if Riddle, if they don't find a good angle, if they just give this up, it's only one Dragon to Dusty right now, but they're choosing to commit.
We'll try and commit to this. Will be a second Dragon for either, and Stefan steals it. Now Stend caught in the event horizon.
Oh, here we go!
Out as Backland fighting to last breath, but he's being taken low, and he's stolen away. Stefan, of course it's Stefan, gets to show Yasuo what it's really done with his own damn corpse. It's necromancy to fill up all the Gothic reference I was making earlier. A double over to Kevo as well, and Kerberos wasn't really there. He's got a Divine Judgment, and maybe he can try turning it around. We'll need to pop the ult shortly, surely, there it is, trying to turn it around. Stefan taking so damn low. Will fall to the tower, but Jax Blank ensures his jungler goes down in trade.
We have it. It's Riddle outplaying the engage. Dusty only find a single target. That looked like it should have been a clump, looked like it should have been the Moonfall to end it all, but Stend can't follow up. It's just the Veigar in that. And actually, Jax Blank gets out of that CC. Actually, there you go. There's the answer to it.
There's the answer.
Can QSS out of that one, apparently. Then Voxley does a decent job of actually following up on some of this, but because the key targets aren't closed out in this, and Kevo, of course, gets to pop off, Riddle really found their way into this fight. Credit to them. We said, hey, you got to try and outplay this kind of big engage that Dusty is setting up, and this time they did it.
Curb at least managed to get a little vengeance for his team by securing his third kill of the game, and this Kale now with Wit's End is still going to be a real threat. Yes, they lost that fight. Yes, they lost that Dragon, but they're still up 2,000 gold, and they are still working with Diana, Yasuo, Kale. Like, that is a nasty topside. Hell, Twitch is a scaling carry as well.
All of them do really well with items. Sadly, everyone else on the other side also does really well with items. Because, and that's going to be a big problem, right? Because it's all well and good having a lot of burst damage from Dusty. Twitch needs to be doing a lot of work after that combo happens.
Big slow.
Double barrel.
Stefan's here as well. This will now be a 1v2, and Backland's trying to play as one of the best he can, but there's just nothing to be done, and he is dead on the side.
Combos. Really slick combos. 3 barrels, 3 hits. Backland cannot take that kind of damage. That opens up the ability to go towards Baron. You don't have the Yasuo to follow up on that Diana. Part of your key combo is down, and Kerberos isn't even on the same side of the map.
No teleport either, so no way to join. You do have a Lunar Rush and a Moonfall. Very difficult to keep the Diana out, and Riddle decide against continuing to flip for the Baron.
I think, given you have basically no tanks in this game, and no, this doesn't count in this game. You can't tank Baron. And at that point, if you're sat there looking at that juicy combo, even without the Yasuo in there, that's a wise decision, I would say, from Riddle. Actually, we're getting to the point now where tentatively. That momentum meter has gone back to even. Dragons on one side, a little bit of gold on the other. We talked about Dusty and their combo being so important, but analysts back in the back room considering this a fairly even affair in its own right.
Stefan just haunting that bot lane there, looking to see whether he can get involved in something
Gothic
more.
references, nice.
And remember, he's actually at 100% kill participation right now. This player who, again, kind of came a little bit out of nowhere, out from the cold in a lot of ways, really standing up and being counted in the league so far. He's been incredibly impressive, particularly on the Viego, if I do say so myself, and continuing to be a threat in this game. Veigar, not Viego, has managed to pick up the death cap. And you've got 2 items in on the gangplank as well. Thing is, it's kind of getting towards 2 items on the other side as well, which is getting...
I'm glad I'm not like that out of ideas that I have to refer to it as the Viego combo.
Combo is Jax playing. One for trade there with Kerberos, and it certainly does with the barrels, but will not win the barrel minigame the second time around. Of course, with a Celestial Blessing, Kerberos does have some tools to heal their way back up again.
A little bit, and of course has that, probably is running Legend. I'm actually not sure if they're running Legends Bloodlines on the runes. Kayle obviously gets a lot from attack speed, but if you're building an AD carry auto-attack centric build, actually just going for Legends Bloodlines gives you an ability to heal off of waves. Kerberos is going to get that recall off. And of course they have the Vamp Scepter in there too, so they have some ability to heal just on their auto-attack.
Hear ye, Kerberos is but 1 level away from Ascension, truly at the top of the stairway to heaven.
The end is nigh!
The end is nigh. Level 16 approaching.
Wait, is that even the World Ender Kayle skin?
It might be. I don't know what. It's a cool skin. I don't know if it's the World Ender Kayle.
I'm just looking at the sword. You know what? I actually haven't played against a Kayle, and I haven't bought this skin myself, so I'm not entirely sure. It's a really cool skin.
It is a really cool skin.
Let's see when it hits level 16. Of course, Kayle is an entire champion, evolves as the game goes on. Tracking that one as well, because that's going to have eyes on the champion anyway. Level 15, and see, that's only halfway through. 20 seconds till that next dragon spawns. No soul point for either team. But again, we're waiting for that engage. Riddle, they can't clump up. Look at Nash, look at Vladi. They're 2 of the most important champions, players to deal with Dusty's combo. We're setting up them to Oxynate. There were 2 ships in the night, very much running into each other with the 2 stealth champions walking up into each other.
All summoners available except from Kevo's Flash, which comes up now as I speak about it. Jax Blanks as well, inches away from being available, so a lot of summoners for everyone to play with. Stend misses, that's the kind of barrage. What can happen from here? Nash with the Magnet Storm, so exquisitely called out by Nemera. It's into an attract, repel, they'll get 1 back, but it's just not enough. Kerberos though, trying to do their best, flashing away, best Stefan over the wall, continue with the chase, secures Kayle's body, and that will be the god switching sides. It is that spear of Longinus that will bring down the angel from on high. Off the stairway they fall, and they can try and damn well end it.
I am so impressed by Nash this game. Only had a few chances to really stand out and landed some utter knockout blows in this game. That Rel was not going to be the disengage. It was always going to be about getting onto the enemy team, and lands a 5-man combo in what could be the game-breaking fight for Riddle. Again, Stend actually does a fairly decent job of trying to delay that first engage, but a 5-man attract repel stun after that point puts things so far in Riddle's favor that even when that combo lands and Twitch briefly manages to open up, the fight's effectively just over.
At that point, it's looking a bit dire. Of course, game's not over. They decide not quite to push any further. They'll take the inhibitor and back off. But this game now in the hands of Riddle, of course. Kerberos still edging towards that level 16, and we know what happens when Kayle hits that point, but thus far, thus good in terms of dealing with it in the team fights, and if Nash can continue to find engages like that.
Down on the bot side, I believe, for Kerberos. Kerberos is going to hit level 16 after this wave. Well, thereabouts. Let's see if it hits it end up there. Oh, 1 more minion or so.
That's so close.
Obviously, maybe even the ward does it. They're getting so close. It's just ticking. Even then, is it going to be enough?
Jax Blank
doesn't have the 16 to fight this one.
There's Stefan coming around. There's still no Divine Judgment available for Kerberos. I don't know how much he wants this. He can do quite a lot of damage, but I don't know if he's quite enough. That barrel hitting like a damn truck. Kerb trying to play this one out best they can. That is the challenging smite through, and Kerberos falls.
Hair's breadth away from level 16. Maybe that could have let them wail on the 2 of them at that point. Extra attack range, extra DPS uptime with those exalted forms. Kerberos didn't have that all. goes a little too far, a little too aggressive, and while has been largely succeeding in the 1v1 in terms of pushing into those towers, and has even recouped some of that CS, which they were losing in, obviously, as you do tend to as Kayle. It's a pretty awkward mistake to make at that point, though, especially with Baron on the table. Yes, you do have that teleport, but just loses Dusty the ability to push in on that bot side and get something to play from, have a leg up somewhere on the map.
Indeed, and, you know, this is a Gangplank as well that was down a whole tower, down a couple kills.
Right, those
now
2 times
6-2 and
back-to-back,
6,
right?
yeah. 600 gold bounty on their head. Jaxplank well and truly back into the game.
Those barrel combos have actually been very good. Just able to just make sure that one's hitting, get the next barrel up, just continually having threatened those barrels to have that huge DPS uptime. Jaxplank obviously showing the mastery of that champion. Jamada will tell you all about that one. Has, and of course, him and Hitbrain have a
lot of experience.
Game time hours on that
There it
point.
is.
Level 16 hit for Kerberos. Bloodthirst hit for Kerberos. 3 items. It's a little later than maybe they would have wanted. It's still coming towards that point in the game, but it's still so important for Kerberos to be a threat on the map. How many members need to deal with him at this point? Can he take a 2v1? Might have to come into the larger fights, though, as Riddle see that hit on the side lane, force the issue, and the tunnel's going behind him. It's going to be too late.
Ways away. Linkas will be able to get in and potentially look to steal. They're going to pull away from it, happy with the teleport being down from Kerberos.
It's basically got what they wanted from Riddle. Now that split push pressure point on the map can't join the fight. If they end up forcing the issue around that Baron or elsewhere away from that Kayle. See the Baron now vision ceded over to Dusty. Riddle took that chance. They can't stick around after that point, though. They don't want to fight over that vision. They can't defend it. Now, leaving ourselves once again with resets.
50 seconds until a Mountain Soul potential for Riddle. Of course, they are at that soul point and would very much like a Mountain Soul to help defend themselves from the wombo combo that Dusty have brought to bear in this game. They have got the control of the map right now. They've got the inhibitor down in that bot lane. We're kind of setting up for a final tumultuous fight that will likely decide the fate here of our 2 teams tied at 4-2. Reminder, the winner will move up to join the other teams in second. The loser will be left a little bit away from that pack.
So, once again, looking at that Rel, the big engage option for Riddle. Can really stunt Dusty's combo before it really starts. Watch to see how Nash can play around vision. Dusty fell prey to it once on the other side. Of course, Backlund and Linkus are such a huge threat. If they hit the right targets, it gets so disgusting. But they have to hit so many people at this point. Lots of damage on both sides. One person goes unchecked. This whole fight can turn around.
Nash has flash. Nash has made these fights so Riddle favored over the last few encounters. Dragon down to Harvest B, but Stend will go in and try and turn it around. That's Stefan down the Heartbreaker. Not what they want to see is Nash doesn't really find the angle he was looking for, but still, it's a steal on the Baron. The soul is through. But look at the back end. What more can they do? Backlund goes golden. Divine Judgment is there. Kerberos gets one back, but Backlund is dead, and Trader's Linkas in the cage, sure to fall down, and 2 members fight 4. Dusty being turned to the winds. Dust to dust. Ashes to ashes. And an event horizon will drag them all to a final black hole.
It doesn't matter that there are 2 carries alive at the end of it. Then Vox and Kerberos can't find the DPS. Jaxplank and Stefan shut him down. Without another thought, with a little bit of help from Vladdy in that cage. And Riddle win out on the 4-2 scoreline matchup. Riddle take control of that second place spot.
Georgia said it in the pre-show. She wondered whether Riddle were the best, the second best team in the league. With performances like this, you begin to wonder, don't you?
Riddle go to join. I believe it's Bifrost and that 5-2 scoreline at that point. But Riddle keep pace at the top behind JDXL. Either way, JDXL looking down at these teams and wondering who their next competitor will be to really show them a challenge. These 2 teams played at a fairly high level. I do like how these teams play towards their team identities. Dusty, most of that game in the early parts was strong about enabling that top lane matchup and then finding the engages. After a while, you could see Riddle's class, their ability to understand how to disengage from those big combos, turn it around on the second phase of the fight, and it worked out for them.
Yeah, extraordinary stuff. Good turnaround from Jaxplank. Nash with some absolutely exquisite role play. FGG maybe has a little bit of a rival on that champion right now, but that will be all from us on the caster desk. We've still got a cooldown to go, so we'll throw it over to our analysts for one final segment.
Thank you so much. Amazing work throughout the entire day. The brothers coming in hard yet again on the casting desk. And they got the perfect composition.
And we
They
might
got
have
the
even more
kill.
content when I fall off this chair.
Are you okay? Okay.
It's really
Because
dangerous now.
Dusty brought
I'm
in.
initialize. Hello.
Are you initialized? Oh, no.
I'm initializing his Nightmare.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, actually.
So Dusty brings in the perfect composition. They bring in the kill. They bring in the Twitch. They bring in the late game. They get to the late game.
I have so much beef,
No
man. I was like,
damage.
Monka W, 13 out of 16. Monka W, 14 out of 16. Monka W, 16 out of 16. And Kerberos' mouse must have disconnected in this last fight, man. I swear to God.
Yeah.
There was no damage, even though there was no
There were
tank.
no auto attacks.
That also applies a little
I was
bit.
very sad.
It was we were not happy with Kerbos in that last fight, but I mean, honestly, like I kind of want to give quick mention to Jack's flank in this game. Like they were punishing him really well in the early game. Kale were getting like not ahead, but she was just getting kind of steaming through the laning phase per usual.
laning phase, yeah.
And they got the tower super early as well. Linkas was up like 40 CS, I think, on the Diana, and then Jack's flank just came online, and that was it.
I think the problem was the fact that you had your backland on the Yasuo on a side lane, right, with Ignite, and he kept getting picked.
Yeah.
And the reason you're picking this Diana-Yasuo combo is so you can link up on both of them and just use them back to back for like really easy pickups pretty much. And I just didn't see much of that. Like the only time they really used that was in team fights, which wasn't really advantageous because like one team fight Kerberos was not there, the other fight Kerberos had mouse issues, I'm assuming. Like, it was really rough to watch because I really believed in this Dusty composition.
Yeah, no, we did both of us.
Riddle yet again show everybody that this team came into Summer Split to defeat everyone in front of them. They only need to defeat JDXL to get that beautiful score that they really want. They're tied up with Astralis on second place. Standings are looking good, but before we look into them, let's look into the interviews. We're going to start up with Riddle, with Tom Kick. Oh, there you go. That is a beautiful smile after coming in hot on week 4 as well versus Dusty. I mean, you guys were fighting for the same spot. How you feel after this W?
I feels really, really well. Me and Nida was screaming in the TeamSpeak call after some of the fights because it was looking kind of close there. But Nash was smurfing and Stefan stealing the Drakes. Everything was just perfect.
Okay, if we can go into the beginning then, looking into Stefan, you bring in the Viego. Viego to me has been a curse so far on the 12.10, 12.11. Walk me, why do you pick the Viego? What can he still bring into compositions?
Yeah, well, so what we see here is when we get a Seri pick first, we just get a really strong pick in the meta right now. And also just mostly for the comfort, Wukong is out and Stefan is just insanely good on the Viego. So with the rest of the things we wanted to bring together with the pick, then it's easy for us to get resets for him, and he took control of the backside when Nash takes the other side of the map of the fight.
Okay, so it's more about Stefan being comfortable with the pick than a pick itself.
It's kind of both, you know.
Okay.
Stefan is insane, of course. You can say that it brings different stuff. And now when we also have the Veigar with the cages, it provides a lot of easier setup for Stefan. So it's easy for him to get resets.
Can I ask you something? Because Stefan is on top of every single charts in terms of jungler. Dan is a different league so far. He's been stable in the Spring Split. He has been stable on Summer Split as well. But Stefan coming in for Riddle, do you look into Stefan like the new Haru of the league?
You know, you can say different things. I feel like we got a really good catch with Stefan, and I think he's gonna be huge for the rest of the split for sure. I wouldn't call him like the next anything. I'm just gonna say Stefan, and Stefan is insane.
Stefan is Stefan.
We agree. He's insane.
Yeah. So to wrap it up for you, let me ask you. Riddle brought in an insane composition. The way you guys brought in the new roster, the way you announced, everything is being done tremendously well, and we can see that. But what is the work right now behind the screen, behind the cover for Riddle? Because it is working. So what is the magic ingredient so far for Riddle?
You know, I would say the magic ingredient is just having a lot of fun, bantering and just enjoying our time, screaming with the different moods, you know. But every day when we get back, it's just fun and we're enjoying each other's company. And I think that's like really important.
Okay, so
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get, man, when you have two Greeks in your team.
there you go, the Greek blood. Tell me, are you guys going to be the team that is going to take JDXL?
Of course we are, of course. Like,
rematch.
it didn't really go there the first time, but like we've learned, next time we meet them, I'm gonna smash them for sure, no worries.
If you don't, I want you on the interview. We need to talk. Okay, we need to have a talk.
fair.
Now. Tom King, thank you so much for that smile and for the way you guys are showing up on Summer Split. Congratulations. Have a nice one.
Thank you, bye.
There you go.
You know what I
Having
find
fun.
really interesting? The fact that you mentioned, you know, you're like, we had Dan in Spring Split popping off. He was popping off in summer now, but Stefan's coming in and suddenly everyone has their eyes on Stefan. I just want to remind everyone that MC was in Riddle, gapped Dan in playoffs.
Yeah.
And now Stefan's coming in to take first spot. Plays also in Riddle. What I'm saying is, Excel, maybe don't pick Riddle in playoffs.
Maybe.
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 Why is Riddle
Maybe.
so good at bringing junglers then?
I don't know. They have some magic behind them,
sort
picking
of,
them, right?
Yeah, some sort of magical coaching stuff as well, maybe. I mean, Tom Cake obviously it looks like a lovely Chad. I'm just gonna say it. Maybe that has some sort of magic. I think on a serious note, though, I think it's having fun together. As I mentioned so many times before, it's just a really good key because then when things are going poorly, you can still make the most of it and you can still improve from that. If you just feel like you're playing with 4 of your friends, right? It's just nice to see.
That's it, man. You're just playing with 2 Greeks. You throw one Malaka here and there
Yeah.
and everything.
We're learning at the NLC. Thank you so much for that one, Trouble. I don't even know what happened. Now, into Dusty, a team that had everything during the game but couldn't finish it off. So we're going to talk with the support with Stend that is standing with us right now. Welcome back into the show. This was a tough one. You guys were neck and neck throughout the entire game. It seemed permanently that you had the lead. Can you tell me when it all went wrong?
I think it went wrong during the third Drake. We had the God lead, we had our win con doing pretty well. The Kyle was kind of ahead, but we didn't manage to find a good engage. And if I remember, we fucked up a bit the tempo. So they managed to get a reset on Viego, and we lost the fight. And then, yeah, I think this is the point where things went wrong.
And that is a big question that I have for you because it symbolizes both teams in team fights. You have Diana and you have Yasuo. That is the perfect montage YouTube videos when you have like 4 men into the crescent of Diana. But it seemed like every single time the combo was done, it was only on 1 or 2 maximum. But on the other side though, you guys clustered yourself in the Dragon fight for Rel. What was the communication going for the engages or for the disengages from you guys?
Yeah, actually, when Nash did a 4-man engage, it was pretty clean. And in the vocal, we were saying like we need to pull the trigger first, otherwise we can't win the team fights. But yeah, it was kind of hard because Viego was pressuring us with this the fog. The Vega cage was a bit boring as well, and they had multiple threats like GP, Zeri, Vega, Viego. They were all a threat, so it was hard for Diana or me to find the right engage.
Okay, and now that we're looking into the late game, we're going to talk about Zeri and we're going to talk about Kel. Because let's be honest, when you have Kel, you get that level 16, it's good to go,
Yeah.
baby.
Monka
You got
W.
it. Let's go, Monka W. And then, is Zeri a better hyper carry in the late game than Kel? Because Kel was not dealing any damage whatsoever. It was actually sad to see the Angel bringing justice, but disconnected justice.
I mean, I think it's just a bit different. Like Kyle has to, she could not like Cameros. It was hard for him to put his EPS because he was getting zone and the only target he could hit it was Rel. But during this time, Viego was getting a reset. So yeah, I think that was the problem, I would say.
Okay, now that we're looking into Dusty after finding Riddle,
Yeah.
the team that is looking for the same position as you, at least so far in the standings. What is the next step for Dusty?
For sure, we have to focus because in 2 days we play against GDXL. That's a really important match as well, and I really want to prove that we can beat them.
Okay, and if I may, on that matchup, obviously we're going to have time on the next week, but looking into that
Yep.
matchup, where do you think Dusty has the upper hand versus JDXL?
You mean I
Where do you
think...
guys think you're going to take it? Which lane?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat?
Which lane do you think you're better than JDXL?
Oh, I think GDXL, they are okay. I'm gonna say they are always having a lead in early game, but they always go too far and they are not finishing their game really clean. So I think if they don't play really clean and we can get an advantage by this, it will be good for us.
Very quick question, Stend, because you are in the bot lane and XL's bot lane is notorious for dying level 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you killing them level 3 as well?
Yeah. I mean, they are playing good, but I'm not really scared against them. I think with Stend it will be fine. We will do our job, and yeah, I'm hyped to play Wednesday.
Okay.
Well, I'm taking the yes only.
That's all we need, Stend. Thank you so much for this one. And let's see what happens
Thank
with Dust. You guys have a perfect team. Let's see if you guys get to playoffs and show everyone else. There we go.
Thank you.
Nice
Bye.
one. I mean,
So they're killing them, level 3.
I think so. I think level 3, you just back off the lane if you're JDXL, wait for level 4, and then re-engage.
I think it's more on JDXL actually killing themselves rather than someone else killing them at this point. But yeah, I mean, Stend obviously is gonna go for it.
Listen, man, when somebody makes the mistake, someone has to catch.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it goes. So
I can only imagine the top side of the map of GDXL, like changing calls. Okay, we should go for that. And then you hear the level 3 ping, you just listen on the bot side.
First,
Just yeet, and they throw themselves into the tournament for some weird reason. They're still in first place. That's exactly what we're going to see right now with the standings at the end of day 7 from Summer Split. And let's see how things are faring out for NLC. JDXL still undefeated. Astralis right on their heels as Bifrost and Riddle are tied up. Dusty 1 game away, while Noriki are on 6th place, following with X7 even after that victory. Vanir looking a little bit rough on the end of the standings alongside with Eminem and Team Singularity. Not going for a good split so far.
I feel like the most surprising thing here is that Eminem is like not 3-3 at this point.
Yeah.
1-6. I think this is the one that's going to hurt the most because they've had the chance to pull off victories against really, really strong teams that are now sitting in the 2nd place over there. And I feel like Eminem are looking at them like, we could have had this, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree on that. I think on the kind of silver lining on that, though, they have been like so close to taking them down, and they just need kind of up it up just a tad bit. So maybe on the other, like next second half of the season, they can just completely turn it around. Maybe go on a like 5, 6, or 7 game win streak, right? That could be the dream for Eminem. But as you mentioned, just kind of devastating to be in the bottom of the standings playing like this.
Today was a good day, but let's see what was the play of the day for MasterCard. That play that changed everything out of nowhere. You know what game it is? Let's take a look.
All right, this is going to be, of course, no one else other than FTG on Rail. I'm just kidding. This time it is Nash. This time it is Nash onto the Rail, and he gets an absolutely insane 4-mana ultimate right there on all 4 carries of Dusty, absolutely demolishing them. I feel like, man, that play was straight out of dreams. The fact that he managed to go through the wall, I feel like it was with a Hex Flash and flanked them around, takes the Nautilus ultimate first, backs off with it, and then jumps back in with his own ultimate to take lives.
I think it's just super impressive the way that fight was played about it, because every single team member of Dusty had their own flash in that one. So even that happens, that usually when Rel is like the most useless, because usually it's like kind of easy to just flash the ulti.
We were talking about it in the green room where we're like, okay,
everyone has flash.
Twitch has flash for this fight. We're like, where flash?
That is a play of the day, but you saw all the games today. If you didn't, well, go check the VOD. What I'm going to do now is give you an appetite of what we're going to eat on Wednesday. Let's show the games for the next day match. It's going to be day 8 from Summer Split. Riddle Esports is going to take on Astralis to open it up. Oh boy, Dusty versus JDXL. Wait a minute. Dusty versus JDXL is going to be a spicy one. Dusty was talking about this. X7 versus Bifrost. Oh, Vanir versus Noriki right after. And maybe, who knows, if Eminem keeps throwing those games, Team Singularity, this is a good game.
This is so front-loaded. This is the games are insane.
I feel like every single game is insane. Like every single game is so important. We see the last game as well could not be maybe an official banger, but could really deliver as well. Eminem and Team Singularity, maybe Singularity able to pick up their first win. But as you mentioned, the first 2 games, I mean, what is going on, man? This schedule is just stacked.
I mean, if you if
on the Noriki as well.
If every single one of these was a movie, which ticket would you buy?
Oh, I'm buying the ticket straight to the X7 versus Bifrost right here because X7 were so dominant in spring and only Bifrost could take them down. Bifrost was their nemesis back-to-back in both single round robins that they played in the regular split. Bifrost took them down. So I'm waiting for this one because X7 looked like they've woken up a little bit from the slumber and Bifrost are going in strong.
M-Test.
I completely agree with you on that one. However, if I would have to buy some popcorn, I think it would be for just the first game. Like Riddle, you mentioned earlier today that they were like the kind of the second best team in the league. I didn't agree, but after today, even playing with that Veigar, which was a bit suboptimal, they came up with a W, and I'm just so excited to see them versus Astralis, man. It's gonna be nice.
We're talking about two teams fighting for the same spot, for the shadow of JDXL. Let's see if in Wednesday it's going to be the shadow of if they're going to tie up, because JDXL have to face Dusty, and Dusty are looking hungry. For us today, I think we're done. It was an amazing show. It was a beautiful day for NLC. But Wednesday is going to be even better. Day 8 of Summer Split. Don't you miss it. And I'll see you soon. Bye.
The final wave.
Bye!
The final wave.